It was my twin girl's 11th birthday. Everybody was excited. We were going to have a big birthday party after school. My husband and I go to pick up my son at his middle school, and he sees my truck before we see him, and he darts into the middle of the street, runs across the street. There's a car about to turn the corner. He did not see that car, and he was just feet away from being killed. He jumped into my truck and said, "Hi, Mom, hi, Dad." And I gave him the riot act, because how do you run into the middle of the road? We've talked about this a million times before. You need to look both ways. You shouldn't even be in the road. I mean, he's 12 years old. These are things that we've discussed for 12, 11, 10, 9, for 9 years that he's been going to school. Is school safety when you get dropped off and picked up? But the amount of vehicles on the road near schools is just so high. And, kids aren't always thinking clearly. Parents are not always thinking clearly. And this leads to a lot of dangerous situations. That could have very well been a very real story that happened of the worst day of my life. So if a school has 800 kids, do we really need 800 cars to drop off and pick up these kids twice a day? It's just ridiculous. We've got vehicles stopped in the middle of the road. We've got people making quick maneuvers, and it's all in an attempt to get our children to school on time, get in and out of these different situations. So if you've ever had to pick up or drop off kids at school, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Schools should be responsible for setting up a carpool system. This would fix so many of the problems. It would reduce the amount of cars on the road, and it would reduce the amount of pedestrian-involved accidents. First, I'm going to discuss the traffic and why it's there. Then we'll talk about why it's so dangerous and chaotic. Then I'm going to discuss why carpooling is the solution. Now, schools are surrounded by a sea of cars, and according to the American Automobile Association, this creates major risks for children and the drivers. And this is something that happens every single day since the beginning of school time, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse as more kids go to school. York University did a study and showed that there is a significant correlation between schools and the amount of dangerous driving and pedestrian-involved accidents. Now, why are there more accidents around schools? Because there's more cars around schools, and it's every single day and every single afternoon. It's a very scary thing. An article called "School Zones Are Dangerous." They looked at the statistics and found out that more than 100 kids are killed and 25,000 kids are injured simply while walking to and from school. It's just unacceptable. It is unacceptable how many children get hurt and injured doing something that they're going to be doing for the next 18 years of their life. A study by Jones and Smith discussed that high traffic congestion around these schools involving children is something that happens, and we need to find a way to fix it. So the words dangerous, collision, school, and killed, those are all frightening when we put them together. Why is it happening? Let's take a look. There's no place set up already for schools to be able to organize these carpools easily. There is no clear policy in place for drop off and pick up. They might have some suggestions and requirements and do's and don'ts, but there isn't a set place in stone where we can say, hey, I want to do this carpool. According to the National Association of Transportation Officials, there's just nothing set in stone to provide this when parents enroll their children, and there needs to be. There are some VIP lanes where you can just drop your kids off and they open the door, help the kid out, close the door, and you can be on your way, but that doesn't reduce the amount of cars. That just helps the flow of traffic. Now, lots of families live too close to the school to qualify for the bus system. LAUSD's website states in the frequently asked questions, how far away do I need to be to qualify for the bus? You have to live more than 1 or 2 miles away in order to qualify for the bus. So lots of these kids and parents don't even have the option. Their parents have to drop them off. There was a study done by GSI Education and just last year, and it stated that the average vehicle carries about 1.5 kids to school and to and from school each day. So that's probably, one child and a sibling. But if they instituted a carpooling, that number could increase up to 3 kids per vehicle. That would really reduce the amount of traffic. So we know the problem isn't kids here, it's parents and it's the schools. So what can we do? Now, Canada, a school in Canada, 800 kids, they've already figured something out. The National Center for Safe Routes to School discussed that what they did is they have a big thermometer up in the driveway, and they have a maximum of 25 or a goal of 25 cars per day. So when there's more than 25 cars, that drops off kids and picks them up the day before, the thermometer goes red. If it's less, it goes back down to green. And it kind of gives all the parents and guardians an idea of how many vehicles are entering the school and allows them to adjust it. So that allows for some visual clarity. There's a simple online system that you can just set up. Why don't schools do this? It's very easy to do with all this technology. That should be something that when you're enrolling your kid for school, you can just, scan the QR code and input your information, and boom, a carpooling, situation is set up for you. Schools can designate specific carpool drop-off spots. We can do, local governments can offer incentives. I mean, they can offer so many incentives. They can do reserved parking spots. They can do financial incentives. They can, they can provide incentives to schools. That would greatly help. If the schools got incentives, that the parents would need to follow what the school said. If the school's going to get money, then they're going to make us follow, what it is they need to do to get that money. So there are many different ways that we can implement a carpool system to fix all these different problems. Now, a structured carpool system will cut down on traffic. It will prevent accidents, it will prevent deaths, and it will make school drop-offs much more safer and much more convenient. Schools must act to get a carpool system in place. Students, parents, guardians, neighbors, friends, school administrators, local leaders, we all need to come together and discuss carpooling and why this is not a mandated form of transportation to get our kids to and from school safely and alive. Thank you.